Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another insightful session. You know, we love to bring these to you. So as usual, we're going to kick off. But before we start, I felt it would be great to acknowledge some of you. So we've got Abubakar Umar, we've got Dauda Okweyemi, Eberechi, Clement Ihanacho, we've got Olusheye Sadiq, welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got Pascal Ikechuku, Shaibu Karimat, Titus Barco, welcome, welcome. Good morning, this fine morning. So I'm going to go straight into introducing who our facilitator for today is. His name is Kolapo Oyeleye. Kolapo is a chartered accountant with over 2 decades experience, and this is spanning across audits, consulting, banking, and telecoms. Kolapo currently serves as the Senior Manager, Business Analysis and Planning in MTN Nigeria. His function supports critical business decisions, pricing analytics, proposition implementation, and post-delivery evaluations requirements. Strategic achievements, that he has under his belt include design, implementation, and execution of maiden group-wide financial and performance reporting framework for a group holding company, development of balanced scorecards for strategic resource functions, and 6-month service as the Chief Operations Officer, that's the COO, in a microfinance bank, whilst coordinating the divestments from the parent company to new owners. So with this rich background, I am so sure we're in for a time. But Kolapo and I aren't alone on this call. We've got our colleagues from within MTN. We've got Aderin Sola Aino. We've got S.A. Desa, rather. And then we've got Maruche. Maruche is helping us with the technical support.
Good morning, everyone.
Say good morning, everyone. All right. So
good morning, everyone.
So I see we have a sizable number now. Kolapo will give the floor to you now. So I'll ask once again, let's unveil, or rather, veil our cameras. One more thing though, before I forget, please, any questions you might have, there's a button at the bottom of your screen called Q&A. Any questions, comments, suggestions, whatever it is, please drop them there. At the end of Kolapo's presentation, we'll come back, take them, and then he will give the answers. So please don't forget your Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Kolapo, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, everyone at the back end. And good morning to everybody who is part of this webinar session as well. I just want to confirm that I'm audible and everybody can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
All right, great, good. All right, good morning. So it's a beautiful Monday morning, and it's a good time to have good discussions on how to move to the next level or get shifts to the next level in businesses. I took time to look at the attendance or the people who registered for this session, and I noticed that the audience spans across different cadres. So you have to pardon me, it may be a bit difficult to speak to a specific cadre, but what I've tried to do is to put the presentation together that could address the different levels of the businesses that all of us are in. So so please, this is open-ended, so if there are any clarities you need specifically on any point, but it's important that from whatever strata of business that you're in, there's something that speaks to your space. We're happy to take any clarity or clarification or more emphasis as we proceed, right? Okay, with that in view, I'll just go straight to it. This morning, I want to move to discuss about starting either a business or a new line of business. And I picked this specifically because a lot of us probably have started, or some people may be planning to start a business. So it's important to look at what are the critical considerations to make. Or maybe you're looking at a new line of your business. Say you want to expand into a different segment, or you want to introduce a new product or something. What are the critical considerations to be made or to make in that regard? Then, of course, for people who already have businesses, but you are like at a plateau and you want to take that to the next level of growth that you would want to, what are the things that will help you to soar deliberately? This is the intent of every business, to actually get to a level where you're soaring. Then, of course, wherever you are, How do you move your business to the next level? And then we'll talk question and answers. I'm mindful of the fact that I have about half an hour for this discussion. So I'll try to be very punchy and pointy in some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. Now, so within my space in the finance side, there are quite a number of things I see, especially when people are discussing new propositions. So everybody wants to either launch a new proposition or you want to put a new product out there. And, you know, we all have lofty, fantastic ideas, which is quite normal. But where do you start from? And I think it's in that regard that I want to create this as a starting block. For you to actually decide that you want to venture into either a new line of business or a business proposition, or you actually want to start, it's important to actually take a step back and actually do a reflection of what exactly you want to do and how deliberately you want to do it. So I've put up here, there's some recommendations in terms of when you either want to start a business or you want to start a new line of business. So some people call, you know, issues like business case, business proposal or something of that sort. You know, the nomenclature is not the issue. The critical issue is what it tries to address. So the first starting point is to define the opportunity and the proposed solution that you're putting on the table. Now, the reason why this is important is because each line of business is built on a gap that you have found that you want your business to bridge. Either a new service or bring a new service in a new way or enhance an existing service, something of that sort. So you define your opportunity and propose solution. So specifically, is there a problem that this business will solve? Is there a gap that it tries to fill? Are there opportunities that have been identified that this business will try to leverage on? Is there a strategic objective? And I put this deliberately. It's not just wishful thinking that, oh, everybody is going in this direction and I think this is the direction I should go. You need to take a step back and look, is there a strategy behind that particular plan? And then what is your anticipated impact? When this proposition is pushed out, what is the impact that you expect to make? Then you need to develop your assumptions. Your assumptions are in terms of the values you expect to create. Look, I'm going to make X number of sales. I'm going to generate X number of revenue. I'm going to hit X number of or X percentage of the business or the market. You know, you need to have that in perspective as well. One thing that helps to be able to situate this correctly is that you need to do some sort of data analysis to say, look, what am I expecting my impact to be? How does the market actually respond to this? Is there research? So in more established places, you first do like a market research to identify or to confirm the acceptability of your proposition, you know, just to support what exactly that you want to do. Number 3 is very important. You need to assess financial impact. And financial impact can span in different directions. You know, when we speak numbers for a lot of people, it's a bit of a tough call, but I think it's critical that we're able to actually say, what does this proposition need to be successful? What are the OPEX? OPEX is operating expenditure I need to incur. Do I need to have shops, outlets? Do I need to have people who will be selling on my behalf? What costs would I incur in that regard? Would I need to acquire CAPEX? CAPEX means capital assets. Do I need to buy vehicles? Do I need to, you know, acquire materials like generating sets and all of that? And then if I put the cost on the table and I put the revenue expectation on the table as well, do I have an idea of my anticipated financial benefits, which is the net of gains from the particular line of business? Yeah, I noticed a hand is up. If you don't mind, can we just run through this so that we can then take the question and the answer sessions afterward? But if there's a challenge, like maybe audibility or something, please let me know so that, Kate, please just help me monitor if there's anybody who is not seeing or cannot hear so that we can just, you know, sort that out quickly.
No worries, no worries.
Great. Okay, so it's also important beyond just assessing the financial impact, you need to identify the risks that stands with this business. What happens if your expected sales volume is not met? What happens when, and a critical risk that we need to look at is in terms of, for example, regulation. So you introduce an innovation or introduce a service and regulation shifts, for example, and that particular line of business comes under heavy regulation. What do you do? Or if the market is moving from that particular aspect, what do you do? So you need to have your risk and your interdependencies. And then the number 5 one is the one that is critical for me. You need to be able to define measurable indicators of your success. How would you measure your success? What is an idea of success? That way you're able to gauge, am I meeting or am I not meeting? And then you're able to take some objective decisions. So this is a standard, you know, building block that I've put on the table. And it cuts across everyone. Either you want to start a business or you're already starting the business, you want to introduce a new line, or you want to actually just find a way to redefine or restructure yourself. I like to believe that every business should first start from this level, where you actually have a properly documented end-to-end proposition that speaks to your line of business and what your line of business would hopefully achieve. Great. All right, good. Then move to the next slide. The next slide is speaking about business growth considerations. Now, so you're in the line of business already. First starting point, do you have an idea of where your business is supposed to be headed to? So when we speak growth in generic terms. People talk about growth as in, oh, I just want to expand. Oh, okay, so how? What is your idea in your line of business? What is the idea of expansion? And how does that expansion align with the vision, the mission, and the goals of your business? So what direction are you planning to head to? I mean, for example, some people would say, I'm in the service industry, which is fine. So do I want to remain within a specific locality? Do I want to expand beyond the immediate locality to other areas? Where exactly where do you think is a proper direction flow that you should have, right? Now, at the bottom of that is the second one. It's critical that you estimate the capital or the funding that is required to move you to where you want to get to. Now, on the funding issue, from a finance perspective, I'd like to also emphasize, you see, there's a bit of a challenge a lot of people have in terms of appropriate funding for your business. What I notice mostly is that what most businesses do is that instead of looking for scale, the funding that is sufficient for the scale of business you want to run. For example, if you know that the cash flow of your business is not immediate, it takes like about 3 months or 4 months, your working capital cycle. What some people do is to go and take a short-term borrowing to finance the business that has medium, long-term returns. Then you run into issues because, of course, when you need to start making repayments, because the cash flow that supports that business has not started coming in, and then you have gaps in repayment, the interest starts piling up, and then you begin to have problems. So it's critical to establish the capital or the funding that you need for your business. Capital is critical to a business because if you don't have the right amount of capital in that business, you will struggle. Then, if you are actually looking at capital being either of course, for most businesses, it's actually better to have equity inflow, but some people would actually want to do debt financing. Debt financing means you are borrowing. So if you are borrowing, you need to be very, very sure that you are mindful of the terms and conditions of your debt when you need to pay, so that you are not paying before your returns start coming in. If that's the case, then it means that you will be unable to pay, your interest will be piling up. Then, of course, you start having serious finance charge concerns. The third I'd like to speak to is about structures. So structures in this context means the real way to run a business is to have a business that is this is one of the tenets of accounting. That business must stand by itself. In fact, it must be a legal entity that is separate and distinct from the owners of the business. Now, what we usually see is that there is some sort of difficulty in separating the business from the individual. So every return from the business it goes into the individual's, for example, bank account. There's no separate bank account for the business. There's no way of actually separating. Let me put as an example. The right way you would want to set up your business is such that you determine, for example, salary, for example, that everybody, including the owner of the business's salary, which will be paid from the business's accounts. That way you are able to monitor and measure the costs that are specific to the business, separate from the cost of the owners of the business. You understand? In that instance where you're unable to do that, it becomes a bit of a difficulty to be able to separate the owners from the business in itself. And then, most people set up their businesses that revolve around them as an individual. See, for a business that you actually want to take to a good level of growth, they must have solid structure that should be able to work independent of the owner. Of course, yes, there's need to oversee those. That's what the managers do, managing director and all of that. But you need to be able to come to a point where the structures of the business can drive the business operations with minimum personal intervention. So when you find out that when the owner of the business is not around, that everything is grounded, you need to watch it. That means that it's a little. And sometimes the reason for this may be right, maybe because you've had issues around theft or loss or something of that sort. So I quite understand that. But really, the model that should be driven is that they should be structured, set in place to ensure that the business is run smoothly and efficiently with minimum human intervention. Human intervention, oversee, yes, coordinate and all of that, but to say that the business revolves around one individual is a bit of a challenge, yeah? And then the last one is stakeholder contact. Of course, in every business line, you have your value chain. So you have your vendors, you have your suppliers, you have your customers, you have your distributors, all of that. You must have a seamless way of interfacing and interrelating with all of these people on those value chains, such that there will be minimum disruptions to your business operation, okay? All right, on this next slide, I want to put that there are actually growth enhancing or growth inhibiting factors. Inhibiting means there are things that will limit your business growth. I'll start with the internal ones. Good to have a business that is run by professionals. Of course, when you have professionals, people who know what they're actually doing, it is going to be a good business driver. So skill set and staffing. So when it comes to business, you want your business to be successful, there's no room for sentiment. Of course, you want to support people, you want to have relatives and all of that, but you have to be sure that the people you are putting in charge of that business have the skill set that is necessary to run that business. So sometimes you find skill set lacking in the business. That creates a bit of a problem, right? You must have good business drivers, and good business drivers means you have to have your business located where your customers can reach you. Unfortunately, now there's a lot of virtual interaction or interface with businesses. So yeah, physical location may not be the issue, but if your product is one that is based on customer patronage, physical customer patronage, your location is very key. You need to be located where there's appropriate footfall or traffic that will support, your business growth. Of course, your business must have good supply chain matters so that you don't lack inventory or lack stock. You have to have processes, policies, and procedures. This one spoke to the point that I made earlier. No personal sentiments. If this is how it should be, this is how it should be. Not that somebody will subvert the process of the business, based on personal preferences and all of that. And then record-keeping processes. To be very, very honest, I wish there was more time. There's a case study that I looked at about the business in Nigeria that succeeded because it had proper, and they actually got external funding, got about $200 million funded, just because they had proper record-keeping processes. Look, what you don't record, you can't measure, and what you don't measure, you can't track. Very, very important. So you have to have good record-keeping processes that you're able to track your inventory, your sales, your revenue, so that you're able to construct and see how the business is doing. Second, external factors. Of course, we know that everybody's business is not immune to external issues, macroeconomic issues. We know inflation is trending at over 20%. We know diesel price has gone to over 800%. You are not immune from all of this. You are not operating in isolation. So you need to be able to ascertain how the external factors are impacting on your business so that you can take critical decisions on time. There's some of these external factors that would impact on your pricing. I'm going to come to the issue of pricing in a short while, so you need to have that understanding as well. Of course, there are different laws, rules, edicts. The Nigerian government, oftentimes will just come up with a policy or a pronouncement that may impact on your line of business. So it's good that you also have that in view as well. Of course, whatever affects your source, we speak about the Ukraine war, and then we mentioned the fact that the Ukraine war is adversely affecting supply chain across the world. So Nigeria is not immune from that issue. Then there are seasonality issues. I think this is very critical. There are some lines of businesses that are moved by seasonality. For example, if your line of business, as an example, is around sales that are related to the educational sector, your peak period of sales will be around when academics are about to resume, like when school sessions are about to start. So you find out that you need to target that particular circle or timing of the business to make maximum impact. So that speaks to seasonality. Another example is around year end. Of course, year end is a point when there are a lot of festivities. There's a lot of people who have expectations for leisure stuff. That is a point when a lot of sales happen around around that period of time. So if your particular line of business is in that segment, that seasonality influence has to be recognized. I'm going to show an illustration on pricing and margin issues, very important. And this is important because as a business, you must track your margins. I'm going to speak to that in the subsequent slide, so I just explained that. Of course, product differentiation. To be very honest, if you scan around the market now, it's very likely that you would have multiple people providing the same type of product or the same type of service. What will set you apart is how your product differentiation is done. So you need to bring in innovation, you need to bring in branding, you need to find a creative way to bring top of the mind awareness, so that you'll be able to make people see the value in your particular line of business as separate from the other ones that people are getting. Then, of course, you need to look at your operations and execution. Plan, prepare your budget, have a forecast for your sales. You need to have quality and standards that you run. You need to manage your clientele. I'm going to speak to some of this in subsequent slides. And I like this point about customer feedback. Feedback is a gift. That's one of the lessons that I've learned. So it's important that you always position your business to take appropriate feedback in terms of how your product is doing, if improvements are necessary, and then you can pick it up from there. Good. I want to speak on this issue of pricing and margin, just for illustration, because I think this is critical that a lot of us come to understand. And I've put here as an illustration. Say you have a company that is doing product X, product Y, product Z. Now, if we look at these numbers and, just scrolling down in terms of how you're looking at your profitability, more or less right? Now, I first look at the first box, which is speaking to margins. So let's start with product X. Product X, the revenue from the sales of product X is about 1,000 naira, just as an example, right? But the cost to bring to the point of sale is 500. So you sell it for, a gain or a margin of 500. Your margin on that product is 50%. Basically, what it is just 500 divided by 1,000. That is your margin, straight up. Okay, let's look at product Y. Your sales on product Y is 2,500. That's almost 2.5% above product X. Your cost to production on product X is 1,600. So your margin is actually 900, but your margin in percentage is 36%. Now, a lot of us in business are more motivated with a product X because it gives you higher volume of sales. So that sales is a good incentive, but you don't consider that it's actually giving you lower margins than a product X. So you are focusing on product Y because it has good sales. When you look at the volume of sales that you're making, you think product A, I'm selling so much, but have you considered that the margin on that product may actually be lower than product X? Then, of course, some of us are in product Z. We could be in product Z for different reasons. You're in product Z because it is a product Z that may attract people to your other products, right? But product Z is giving you negative margins. What it means is that the cost to bring product Z to the point of production is higher than this revenue that you make from sales. This is a challenge. So if you are running with a larger percentage of your product or services on Z compared to all the others, you may need to check it. So margins are a good indicator of where we should strategically focus and build up on. Of course, the skills of our businesses differ. Sometimes some people may need to have all of this, you understand, but you just need to be sure that you are not running product Z that is eroding margins for you. You are not focused too heavily on the product X, product Y that has lower margins, but you are having your product X that is actually ramping you up. Now, after looking at margin, you know that you also have overheads that are not tied to whether you sell product X, Y, or Z. You must still incur fuel. You must still transport those products. You have a location that you still pay rent on. The only way you can make your profits is to ensure that your margins are not eroded to the point where they are negative, such that you don't have gains from the business to cover your overheads. So I hope this gives just an illustration. For you as a business owner, you need to ask yourself, where are my margins on these products or these services that I'm offering? How are they impacting on my business? And if they are actually eroding, what decisions do I need to take? So that is critical when you're looking at, the next step you want to look at. So this I just put it there because I noticed the long time when I look at a lot of people with propositions and all that, people don't look at margin, but it's very important to be able to look at margin. And of course, at a higher level, there are discussions around your rate of return, whether the rate of return you're getting is above your cost or your weighted average cost of capital. Those are separate discussions, but I think it's important at this point just to look at this and be able to, as a business owner, see where your product or your services fall along this spectrum. All right. So I also put in here something to speak to about planning. It's very important as a critical determinant of success that you're planning, and this speaks to all businesses to a very good, significant extent. I would expect all business owners to start your business circle, whether at the beginning of a calendar year, say in January, or your own business year, whenever it is, to actually prepare a budget. So you have to set a plan. So you have to plan, what are the things that I'm targeting for success this year? operationally, how am I going to achieve them? Do I have an annual budget? Do I have a revenue target? Do I have a cost target and all of that? And how do I, review my performance? Am I meeting those targets or am I not meeting those targets, right? Okay, speaking and hurriedly along, I also want to put here some tips that will help you in monitoring how effective your business is being run. So you have to make monitoring a priority, right? It's not enough that you just have a budget. That's just the first step. Then you have to make sure you focus on the main issues. Look, no sentiment. What are the issues that are impacting on my operations or impacting on the performance of my business? Then look out for warning signs. This is important because if, for example, in the first quarter of the year, you track that, okay, I'm expecting to make like 200 million sales, for example, and I've only made about 10 million, you need to ask yourself, what's going on? Is there something that is impacting on my growth expectations? And then how do I ensure that this is mitigated and all of that, which leads to point 4, that you take appropriate corrective measures on time so that it will not be at the last minute when you are unable to correct the anomaly that you now start planning your strategic intervention. Then you track your progress, the good and the bad. It's very important because sometimes it may not always be success stories, but sometimes it's good to take feedback from the not too good so that they can help you take the right decisions to be made, right? I put up here that it's important because, like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who have businesses, right, or services or products that they offer, but you find that there are several people in that same line of business. So we've learned that customer experience is very critical to business success. Look, I found out in time that people will not always or may not always remember your products, but they will remember how the experience with acquiring your product made them feel. So people would always feel, yeah, you know what, I like these guys, even if they are concerned, but I like the disposition. I like the ambience. I like the journey that I've had with them. I'll continue with them, rather than someone who will say, okay, the products are good, but they're terrible in terms of customer service. So I think that's also critical. So I put in a quote at the bottom that customers are no longer buying products and services. They are buying experiences, because out there in the market, every product has a substitute. So the experience is what determines or what gives comfort as to whether your customers would always come back. And you can see point 3 that says that customer experience is the impression you leave with your customer. Sometimes business owners say, hey, if you don't come, I'll get somebody else. And that is not the right approach to have. For somebody who is thinking of shifting to net, you don't know. Maybe it's that experience that will make somebody say, you know what, I'm thinking of this, and I think this person, because he has a good disposition, is the person I want to use as the channel to moving it up. All right. Okay. So on the next slide, I want to speak about moving to the next level. So the things I put here are also very critical. If you're actually talking of your shift now to the next level, you have looked at your proposition, you've looked at your margin, you've looked at all of that, and you're saying, okay, now where do I go from here? First, you need to identify expansion or scale-up plans that you need to have. What really is the appropriate next level for your business, right? Is it in terms of expanding your sales significantly? Is it in terms of expanding your coverage? You are basically mainly only in the East or only in the West. Do you want to find a way to penetrate in the North? How do you want the scale-up to be? Evaluate, do that evaluation. Ensure that what you are doing aligns with your overall goal, because behind every business is the goal, the major vision of driving that business. So you have to be sure. Then you need to test with external and internal realities. For example, it's not every product that is utilized in the West that will be accepted in the North, maybe because of cultural differences, or maybe because of, perception issues and all of that. So you need to actually find a way to be sure that if you are thinking, for example, of scaling up by diversifying more from the North, more from the West, for example, into the North, you have to gauge that level of acceptance. Or if you are thinking, where would my new suppliers come from? Do I want to go outside Nigeria to China, for example? How easy is that going to be, in terms of getting those products and services in on time? What are the prices and all of that? Now, the second one I think is very important, requires skill set and support. Look, to be very honest, nobody knows it all. Nobody is a perfect expert on any subject matter. So do not be afraid to engage and consult professionals, even if it will cost you a fraction. Let me speak on this a little bit, because there are a lot of people who are running businesses, right? And they are struggling. But you have available everywhere now. You'll be very surprised that an accounting or a business administration graduate that knows his onions can just sit and look at your business and just make 1, 2, 3 recommendations that why don't you do this? There are people who, for example, I've had a couple of people who've come to me and say, I need to actually even understand what my business is looking. I just said them, okay, fine. Do you have a bank account statement? Does all your inflow or your outflow go into your bank account statement? Okay, bring it out. I had a young friend who was in the media space. He runs a video production company. And by the time I looked at, his inflow, he was actually making good money. So I could actually just tell him, okay, within the period when I looked at the product that you offered and the people that you offer those products to, I can tell you the ones that give you higher margins. So these people, keep them permanently. They're good retainers that you should have. That's a good example. And why this is also important is because to a very good extent, a lot of us are seeing that, look, we're not where we're supposed to be, but you are not speaking, for example, to the right person. So kudos to the SME team on enterprise business who put this together. It's a way of ensuring that, good professionals get to speak to some of this value add. Yeah. And then you review government guidance on the business area. Look, this is something that I advise everybody. Every year, follow what the government budget is, because it's a good indicator of where spending is going to be. Budgets it shows, even if it's at top level, it gives an insight into where the government is thinking so that you know whether you have a benefit or you have a risk, especially when government regulations tend to change, right? All right, then consider partnership option. This one, I think a lot of people are not particularly excited about, but you have to consider the options of partnership. You have to find areas where there are people who have comparative advantage, slight comparative edge over you. Of course, subject to the right kind of deals, agreements, and contracts, right? But do not close your mind to the opportunities of partnership. Do not. It's essential that if you find indications exist that your strategic alliance with either another business or another entity can actually collaboratively bring improvement. You may have to structure contracts, structure agreements, maybe revenue share or something of that sort. But look at it, if you fragment and it triples or quadruples your sales volume, you are better off than remaining at that level. Yeah. So strategic partnership options is very critical. And then ensure appropriately prepared contracts. I put them there. And then when I'm thinking of strategic options, I want to expand this a little bit. To a good extent, a lot of us underestimate the benefits we can get from partnering with our financial institutions. I have a friend who runs a franchise. And when he told me that working with his bank, they were able to create an app for him that anywhere his franchise is sold, at the end of the day, because payment is made via, for example, a POS or something of that sort, he can, at a glance, looking at his phone, tell the volume of sales that he has made in a day. Really. So innovation is very critical at this point, and there's so many options that are open out there. So I'd like to encourage you, please, talk to your experts, talk to your partners, talk to your financial institutions, see if they can customize a dashboard for you where you can see and track, how your account. Let me tell you, in established organizations, that's really what they do now. They create these dashboards where these guys can see at a glance, what was my sale, what is the outflow, where is the outflow heavier at in this location compared to that location. All of these are important. And of course, after you've put all of that in place, you look at your implementation strategy. So ensure your launch or delivery is appropriately timed to ensure the market impact is correctly estimated, and place appropriate feedback. You see, I keep speaking to feedback because that's the way you will track what your impact is and if you are actually achieving the goals that you set out to make. All right. Okay, so I put up a couple of comments here. A lot of people speak about funding, and I think it's just good that we speak about some of this. There's SMEDAN, the Small and Medium Agency, Enterprise Development Agency. Of course, these are strategic interventions to support funding. The Central
Hello, Kolapo. Hello.
I was just about to find out if it's from my end. Kolapo, if you can hear us, you're actually frozen.
Okay, so while we wait for Kolapo to come back, please, we'll need you to move your questions to the Q&A section. The Q&A
Kolapo is back.
section.
Okay,
Is back.
apologies.
Okay, please.
Yeah. Okay, so pardon me, I'm putting the slides back up, but I wasn't too sure where we were when I got disconnected.
Hello, Kolapo. We were at, there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm back on. All right, so I was just mentioning some of the partners that you could actually get some of those interventions from. The Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Fund and the Nigerian Import-Export Bank. These are, avenues that support, funding. Now, it's very important that, you look at all of these options so that you can actually think of the intervention or the capital that is needed for you to scale up, and where it is needed, the people that you need to speak with. So if I put all of this together now in a nutshell, the issue really is, it's not that a lot of us are not, everybody is desirous of the next level. The challenge is just how to put the construct together. So it's important that you actually first start by having a good idea of what your scale-up plans are. And like I've said here, make sure you're speaking to the right people, getting the required skill set and support. And please do not ignore partnership option. And then you need to consider your implementation strategy so that when you shoot or when you launch out, it doesn't, like they say, you aim for the sky and you might hit low. But when you aim for the stars, at the very least, you get to hit the stars. So really, that's what really helps. So if you put all of this together, and of course, with the SME team, I'm very sure that you are in safe hands if you talk to them about the various options that exist that can be considered. Right, so in a nutshell, that's the presentation for this morning. And so I'll be very happy to take questions or clarity that are needed and insights that will be required at this point. Thank you.
Wow, can we give a digital round of applause to Kolapo? Thank you so much. This was a beautiful, beautiful session. I'm so grateful for this. And we already have a couple of questions, but something I picked from what you've been saying throughout is feedback. Feedback is a gift. And interestingly, MTN has a product that is able to help our customers get feedback from their own customers, our M-Survey solution. And that solution can be, you can latch onto that solution if you just send an email to letstalk.ng@mtn.com, letstalk.ng@mtn. We have an M-Survey product that allows you to get feedback, real-time guaranteed feedback from your customers. Okay, so let me just dive into the questions we have here. It says, please, I'm a freelance photographer. Is it advisable to get a loan to start up? A freelance photographer and he needs a loan to start up.
Okay, so
is it advisable?
At the very beginning, right, I hinted that, of course, a loan is an issue, but this is my question. Why would you want to start your freelance photography with a loan? Are there options that you'd have? Basically, you start first by looking at what do you need to actually go into full photography. You need to get a camera, for example. Probably you need to open a studio and all of that. Have you identified the market that you want to play in? Do you have this consistent, how do I call it, location where you are sure that your sales will not be adversely impacted and all of that? Then if you go and get a loan, at what interest rate, and then how long before your revenue starts coming in would you need to pay back your loan so that you don't run into a hitch? My recommendation really is for businesses, don't go into a loan at the early stage. My recommendation, strong recommendation. Find good ways of getting equity. Equity is just, direct capital inflow that is not tied to any interest rate or any expected return. Find that option first. When you now want to scale, when you now have steady source of revenue, then you can now look at, do I get a loan at what repayment terms that would not adversely impact on my business, right? Once you are able to balance that cost expectations with revenue reality, then you can start looking at that option. But at the point of starting, I'm not very eager to encourage that, except of course, you can get the kind of loan that may decide to give you like a moratorium, for example, and that's another option to consider. But to go in and lock yourself into a loan from the very beginning without first establishing a clear line of revenue anticipation, that may be a bit of a challenge. So you need to look at that closely, right?
Yeah, just to interject quickly, Darren, quickly, sorry, just to interject. Kolapo, yes. I'd like you to, for the purpose of the audience, I'd like you to break down what a moratorium is, just so we're sure there's clear understanding.
Okay, all right. So there's some type of loans that you will get where you lock in your rates, right? Say I'm giving you a loan at, for example, 15%, for example. And they tell you, we give you a moratorium period. Moratorium is like a period where you have a little bit of a gap and say, look, we're not expecting you to repay back, say, for the first 6 months, for example. So that means that you have the fund available to you, but you're not expected to start repaying both interest and principal until after a 6 month period. So when I speak of moratorium, so for somebody who's looking at the freelance, for example, you could say, okay, fine, I get a loan, they give me a 6 month moratorium. I'm not expected to pay anything back for the first 6 months. That 6 months is an opportunity for you to ramp up on scale, expand in terms of footprint, get more clients, get more customers, so that after a 6 month period, your inflow or your revenue is enough to guarantee that you will not have problems paying back that loan. So that is what a moratorium is. And of course, there's some financial institutions that will happily give you a loan and give you a moratorium period. So if you ask the right people, you might just get that feedback.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so I see a young graduate here saying, who I want to go into poultry business and farming. Where can I get soft loans for startups? Good morning, please. Where can a young graduate who wants to go into poultry business or farming access grants or soft loans to start up?
Okay, so in the system, on the ecosystem of the Nigerian setup, there are informal associations that are actually support groups for such kind of businesses. So you have like cooperatives, like you have the poultry owners cooperative or something of that sort. So if you are within that kind of environment, that could be an avenue to look at. And beyond just actually even giving support in terms of financial, they also support in terms of, sharing of ideas, and then giving recommendations and then giving you access to where you could probably get, the kind of, if I can use the type of feeds that would be good for the poultry business, the type of eggs or the type of, either you're looking at broilers or you're looking at layers and all of that. So that's also another opportunity to look into where do those kind of associations or cooperatives exist. And of course, there will be some kind of arrangement in terms of, what they will expect in terms of partnership expectations and all of that. But that's an opportunity to look into. And usually, a lot of businesses that operate at community level, the communities actually have some network that they use to support each other, for things like this. So, and I'd like to encourage really that you could actually start by looking at that immediate vicinity to actually find out if such opportunities exist.
Fantastic. So you have the cooperative, the usual ones, those cooperatives that you go to that connect the upfront interest already, so that whatever you're paying after that is just and I see that you're having quite a lot of good reviews here, Kolapo, a lot of hand claps and then impressive presentation and all that. Thank you, Kolapo. Good feedback. And Kazim Rafiu says that feedback is the breakfast of champions. So I think I like that. I'll put that on my status. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Okay, so so what is most critical about starting an SME? Is it finance or location? Which is more critical?
Okay, so I like to flip if you are here to where I started from originally, right? And these are the things that I put up. What is critical about starting as an SME? Look, it is not just finance. Finance is good. It's a very critical, issue. What if you get good finance, but you are located in the wrong place? Okay, so location is also good. What if you get good finance and you get good location, but your value proposition is at the wrong time? Well, okay, so you have finance, you have good location, and you have good value proposition, but your product service or the quality of service that you give, so it's not one that can answer the entire question in here. So that is why you need to look at what I've asked, that you look at everything end to end. You have to first start by asking yourself, this proposition that I'm putting out there, what value is it adding? Really, people would, in fact, the reality is that for people who critically need a particular service, they're willing to acquire that same service at a premium. So people would actually be willing to pay a premium for any product as long as it meets the value that they require. So my first starting point will be for you to actually take a step back and look at what value proposition you are putting on the table. If you look at that value proposition and you look at the gap that that value would fill, then you can now start putting in all the extras. What is the capital that I need? Where do I need to be located? How do I ensure that my stakeholders, suppliers, vendors, salespeople, and all that are in place? When you have that construct, and it's important that you have that construct. I categorically, as I mentioned, sometimes you know, what you don't record or what you don't put, you need to have this proposition documented. That is the way you can then look at everything, identify the risk, identify the critical measures of success. When you put it all together, then you can now take a step back and ask yourself, am I ready? You see, when you put all of this construct, you will be able to answer that question yourself. Am I actually ready for this line of business? But if you have not ticked all of these boxes and you're not very comfortable that this would actually achieve your desired objective, I'd like to ask you to please take a step back, do more consultations, have more engagement, because the real idea behind the business is to start it and for it to be successful and for it to grow, not to start it and just a short time down the line, you see that it's not actually making any impact, and then you have to fold it up. Yeah. So the recommendation is look at all of this. So these steps that I put there are very critical. They will help you identify the issues that are very, very necessary for that business to be successful, and then you can start off from there. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, you've done so well. Loans are a tough issue for some people to deal with, and some people just can't stand the idea of loans. They say they can't sleep even if they owe you in naira. All right, and someone is asking, can we get the recorded session? Sure. You're going to get a recorded session of this on YouTube. In the next few days, this video is going to be on YouTube, so you can watch it over and over and over again. Kolapo has given us a lot of nuggets here, and you have a lot to gain from going back to our YouTube channel. Even the past webinars we've done, go to the MTN Nigeria YouTube channel and go and look through all the videos that are there, and you'll be able to get this at your own convenience. You can watch it at any time of the day you want. Okay. Please, I would like to know where exactly is advisable to get a loan, as I'm currently into construction and wholesales. Well, this is another loan question. Let me see if I say another one. I produce sachets. Well, a lot of loan questions. I produce sachet water for the past 4 years. I have a factory for this. Is that, can I get substantial loans to enhance production? And there has been challenges with bigger manufacturers. Okay, those that have scale.
Okay, but let me quickly touch this loan matter, right? Adirin, if you don't mind. See, I understand that funding, capital is very critical for a business. So honestly, in the Nigerian sector now, if there are loan apps that you don't even need to do anything, you just get a loan. So where to get a loan from is not the problem. And I put here the different places you can actually get assistance. The problem is, what type of loan are you getting? It's very important, because if you are getting a loan that is asking you to repay 15% on the monthly basis, meanwhile, your cash flow or your repayment will not support that type of repayment. And that's why at one of the slides there that I put there, that a common problem a lot of entities face is a loan mismatch. You are using a short-term loan like an overdraft, or where you'll be expected to pay 1 month or a few weeks down the line to support a business that you don't get the revenue for the business until after like 2 months. You have concerns. So that's why the right option to look for is the loan that is good, or the funding that is good for small and medium scale enterprises. And they're there on the slide here. SMEDAN is a good option. CBN has some intervention options there. BOI, Bank of Industry, and honestly, Bank of Industry, a lot of people run away from Bank of Industry, but I can tell you that people who actually have a good value proposition approach the Bank of Industry and they get funding from the Bank of Industry. So BOI is an option. Micro and Small Medium Enterprise Development Fund is there. Nigerian Export-Import Bank is there as well. So there are so many options to consider. But while you are looking at this option, please be mindful of the terms and conditions. In fact, to be very honest, if you approach any of these people, have it documented. What is my expected repayment? And I also like to encourage people, I put in there somewhere in the slide that people need to be educated. Look, you need to learn for this business management, right? You need to learn things like understanding numbers. You need to be able to use something like Excel. You need to be able to say, if I put my revenue here and I put my cost here and I take the difference, would I be able to support it? That is very critical. At this level where we want to grow on our business in, you must be, or you must have the right skill set to support your business. So speaking to loans, again, just to answer that, their loans are available there. but the easiest ones to get may not be the right ones. And now I've seen a lot of people who go with these loan sharks and they have problems down to line. So please, I'd like to encourage you to be sure before you commit yourself that you're actually using the right loan to fund your business. Okay, Derek.
All right, thank you very much. The person said it's sachet pepper, not sachet water, so that was an error on my side. It's also sachet, my brain just went to water straight. All right, so that we can let Kolapo go. Kolapo is very busy and he just gave us this moment to give us this. So let me just lump up this question. This person packages food, elubo, tuwo, cassava flour, and the rest. He's having a challenge penetrating the market, and he only sells one-on-one. So, but he wants to grow. I think maybe he wants a situation where there can be people moving volumes for him. And how can social media help my business? Okay. So I think that's where we will do it. Yeah.
I like to first ask that the major people that are playing in this space, what do they do? Where are they located? How do they access their customers? Then, in the line of your own business, are you differentiating yourself from the others? Is there something unique, something value-adding about your own proposition? Then I also want to push a little bit and say, a lot of people do not consider some low-hanging fruits that are probably around them. So you have this proposition, for example, and people who are, for example, shop market, store, some of these retail store owners, for example, that you can approach to say, you know what, can I distribute this on your store, right? Give it a little bit of time and see if it will sell. Now, what advantage that will give you is it can give you the exposure you don't have by, reaching out to people. Because in a typical store, for example, if it's a store that a lot of people go into, you can just tell them, please, just put it off your shelf. And I guarantee you, and again, I need to speak to this, the quality of your service is very important, that quality of product. Because you, for example, give somebody a product and the reaction of that product will be negative. Of course, not only will they not repurchase, they will also let everybody around their vicinity know that that's a product to stay away from. But if you are sure about the quality of your product, you're absolutely sure that if somebody can just buy one, the person will come back and buy 4 or 5. Then approach people and say, look, put it up on your shelf, give it a month, I'll come back. You tell me how much has sold. If they've all been sold, look, every store owner, if you have an agreement with them on revenue share, you will not have. So I'm just giving you something to consider. Then you look for where there are heavy footfalls, like where people pass a lot of times, and say, look, let people even see it. I can guarantee you, I mentioned earlier that people are willing to pay a premium for value. If your product has the value that you are sure it has, and the customer reaction to it is favorable, a time will come when you will not be the one looking for customers. Customers will be looking for you. And then you now start looking at how to scale up and increase. But it all first starts by the quality of your product. It also starts by looking at where you can get patronage. Then it starts as well by looking at what arrangements you can make in terms of saying, look, put it on the shelf, I'll come back a while later. Those are the kind of strategies that you can look at. I'm sure when you consider some of those things, you might actually get the traction that you need and you can start scaling up from there.
A round of applause for Mr. Kolapo, this morning. He has really done justice to this topic. Someone asking a question about taxation here, but so that Kolapo can go, I want to tell you that our next webinar, you just spoke to our hearts. Taxation, each person is complaining about multiple taxation, double taxation, and all that is becoming an issue for MSMEs. Our next webinar we are actually targeting taxation as a topic. So please be on the lookout for that. We have an in-house message thank you so much, Kolapo. You can just stick around and just watch us. Thank you so much. And I'm personally filled up with this. So we have a message from in-house. Our own Joseph Oyeleye will be taking us on a very short episode of a product that you will really like to listen to, MTN Thrive. Over to you, Joseph. Are you in the house?
Hello. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Joseph.
Yeah, good morning.
Very loud and clear. Please, we just have about 5 minutes. So can you just quickly do justice to MTN Thrive so that our customers can know what it's all about.
Okay. Just want to see possibility of my video. Is my video on? Can you see my video?
We can't see your face for now, but just put up your slides so that we can quickly rush to MTN Thrive.
Okay, so let me just quickly run through. Please, can you confirm that you can see my screen? My slide?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Kolapo. Kolapo has done justice to this topic. I'll be picking up from the last question. I had someone ask a question around the fact that I have a business, I want to expand, or I want to expand my reach in terms of my market. How do I also leverage social media? I'm good enough that for MTN, we are also available to be able to support you and support the growth of your business. MTN Thrive will help you to be able to address that need that you mentioned about in terms of the fact that you want to expand your business. We understand the needs of the SMEs, like your organization, the needs of customers like you, and that's the reason why we come up with MTN Thrive. So MTN Thrive is more like a bundle. It's a bundle that's, sorry, please, let me just. Okay, so MTN is MTN Thrive is a bundle of a mobile service that takes into consideration providing you flexible data and voice plans. It also, so it's a all-in-one bundle. We call it the all-in-one bundle, where you have your data and voice plan in it. You have bulk SMS in it. You also have the Thrive ads for your social media marketing, where you can also expand your reach to Facebook and Instagram customers. And it also affords you the opportunity to also be able to have MTN Engage. Some of us who are familiar with MTN Engage. MTN Engage is more like a customer engagement app that we have also made available to customers, so SMEs like you. And you see that just with one bundle, you're able to have access to this. So you can see that MTN has got your back. So we have two main bundles quickly. We have the Thrive Talk bundles and the Thrive Data bundles. And why? You know, I mentioned that we are making available flexible voice and data bundles. So Thrive Talk is the one. So if you are the customer that says, oh, I want more of talk, I love talking more, then this Thrive Talk is for you. And if you are the kind of customer to say the kind of business that I do, it's more of data, or I make use of data more, then this Thrive Data bundle is for you. So just to quickly just give you an overview of what the elements are. So Thrive bundle data, there are 5 bundles across each, where the minimum is as low as 1,500 naira and also as high as 20,000 naira. So with that, you are able to access everything that you need for your business. And I want to also tell you that it's good. One of the reasons why it's good that you also come and join the Thrive movement is that apart from even what we have presently, there are also many other things that will come on board towards just helping you to grow your business. So on the voice, on the Thrive Talk, where we have the voice, you are seeing that when you pay 1,500 naira for your bundle, you are going to get an equivalent value, a voice value of over 3,000 naira, 3,750 precisely. You are able to get also 1.5 gig data. You also get SMS. When you subscribe from 3,000 to 20,000 bundle, you will see that your SMS also increases. Then also you also be able to have access to MTN Engage, which will help you in your customer engagement, and you also be able to have up to 5,000 ad impressions on Facebook and Instagram. So once you are able to download that Engage, you're able to go in there, and then with as low as 1,000 naira per day, you are able to also have access to up to 5,000 impressions. So the same thing for Thrive data, and you see that the difference is that if you are a voice-centric person and you go for the Thrive Talk, you get more on Thrive Talk. But if you are a data pro data person, you get more on Thrive data. So quickly, I think whatever life brings, we want to enjoy that. Please join the Thrive movement. So how can I join? There are two things as regards it, joining and purchase. I think the purchase one is what we're amplifying, which will take you into that Thrive movement. People are there already enjoying. So if you take up your phone now and dial *460*3#, you'll be able to see all the things that are available for you, Thrive Talk and Thrive Data. And once you choose whichever is yours, it will bring you into that the Thrive movement. Alternatively, you can also talk to your retailers around, those people that patronize EVD. Once you also reach out to them and say, oh, I want Thrive Talk or I want Thrive Data, you are also able to purchase directly from them. Also on my MTN app, when you also go on my MTN app, you are also able to purchase. Just look out for Thrive Data or Thrive Talk for you too. And if you are the kind of person that loves going to our stores to enjoy the ambience around our stores, you can walk into our stores and tell them that, oh, I want to join the movement, the Thrive movement, and our store agents will help you in terms of the bundle purchase. So in terms of joining, the first element I mentioned was to say, if you want to purchase bundle directly, but if it's the fact that, oh, let me just join the movement, but know this, that when you join the movement, until you make a bundle purchase, you will not be able to enjoy all of these very wonderful offers that we have. So just for you to just be on that platform, you dial *460*1*4*#. But I want to enjoin that for you to be able to have a view into the benefits of Thrive, that you just dial straight *460*3#. If I were you, I would just pick my phone now and then say that I don't wait for anything. I'll take action immediately by dialing *460*3#. That's principally it in terms of this. It's principally it for you just to take that action and join the Thrive.
Joseph, there's a question here.
Okay.
Hello, Joseph. There's a question here that says, are postpaid lines eligible for Thrive? Postpaid lines.
Okay, so this is a prepaid. So postpaid line, you are on a contract. So this is exclusively for prepaid. So postpaid customers will not be able to enjoy it. So this is just for prepaid.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm trying to see if there's any other question here on Thrive. Okay, postpaid. Some people are having network issues, so we'll take that offline. So if you can send an email to customercare.ng@mtn.com, network issues can be taken care of, or you can send an email as well to letstalk.ng@mtn.com. letstalk.ng@mtn.com. We're able to take up your please in the area of network issues, please do well to give us your location, your precise location, street address, make it as detailed as possible so that we can get it across to the teams that will look into. Yes. Joseph, there's someone says, I'm into bulk SMS and having registered and use the service. Please, there where I can get link to integrate into my website. I think that's a tech question there. Joseph.
Okay, so what we have is that for our bulk SMS, this is just a flow. Once you subscribe to that *460*3#, our bulk SMS, we have a portal where you can go and you are able to access bulk SMS and also send SMS. And from there, so for now, we don't have any integration into our bulk SMS platform, but you can go to our bulk SMS and it's user-friendly, and you can send both to MTN numbers and non-MTN numbers.
Okay, so there's this last question. Someone is bringing to remembrance something we talked about, and I know it is in the works. So there was a social media marketing plan that was introduced the other time, but until now we've not heard anything. Social media marketing plan. Marketing plan.
So what is a social media marketing plan? I'm trying to understand. Okay, so if
but I know we are working on something that will give social media marketing, make it easy, and it will be launched very soon.
So let me just quickly mention that one of the things we're also working on, and that's why it's good for you to also be part of the Thrive community, because once you are a member, once you are a member of the Thrive community, you'll be able to enjoy this. So advertising plan is also coming in, where you are able to advertise and reach more customers on Facebook, Instagram, and hopefully going for Google too. I think that's the reference that the question is making to. So yes, it's by next month, that should be out. And that's the reason why you need to come on Thrive. Once you're on Thrive, you'll be the first to know, and then you'll also be able to enjoy this, because it's going to be for Thrive customers.
Okay, yeah, so MTN Thrive is coming up with a more robust package for everyone through a social media platform thingy. So someone asking here, I run a real estate development company. Do you have advice on how to advertise the properties I have for sale to be able to reach more clients? So I think we can, Joseph, we can talk to our mobile ads solution here.
Yeah, so you can do mobile ads, and I think also a way to also start. Once you also take off Thrive will also help you to be able to utilize your bulk SMS, and also even for real estate, you can also make use of the Facebook ads and Instagram ads. The good thing about it is the fact that apart from the fact that you are going to get optimized value, you are also able to pay with airtime. So you don't need to have to put your credit cards on the internet. You don't need to have a dollar account. You don't need to, and you also understand the restriction as regards in the Forex in our environment. But MTN is taking that off you. You just pay with your airtime, and you're able to get the best. So you can start with the Facebook ads, the bulk SMS, then you now begin to see possibility of scaling into, but we have a mobile ads that also can support you as regards it. So you can send an email to us. We'll be able to guide you appropriately.
Okay, so for Thrive, again, the USSD is *460*3#, *460*3#, and it's going to get you on MTN Thrive. So you can choose whether it's Thrive Talk if you're a more talk person, and Thrive Data if you're a more data-oriented person. Okay, I need more ideas on Momo. Okay, you can send us an email on letstalk.ng and we'll forward it to the appropriate quarters for Momo enlightenment. Okay, thanks for the presentation. I'm Hinacho Clement. I'm into agency banking business. I want to ask if there's ongoing grant offers for SMEs. Okay, so you've listened to Mr. Kolapo. So there are many grants, and MTN does not give grants or loans to people, but you can run by the Smidan Bank of Industry and the rest that supports small and medium enterprises, and they will be sure to help you out. So we are having questions on network issues. Please, we apologize. We are sorry for any network issues may be happening in your area. But if you have any network, please send an email to letstalk.ng. Let's talk is one word, .ng @mtn.com. Please try to be detailed in the area, the state, maybe the street, if up to the street address. And if you are able to get the coordinates of your area, you can put it in the email, the longitude and latitude, so that our technical guys will just go straight to the point and know what the issue is as far as network in your area is concerned. Wow, it's been a lovely morning.
Hello, Darren.
Okay.
Sorry, please, can you hear me? I just wanted to quickly speak into, I know that Kolapo has also mentioned as regards maybe just to highlight those various opportunities in terms of grants. Just also mention to our dear listeners that we also, MTN is also, we also understand this, that it's also trying to make sure that we bring all of this available to you alongside all the other information resources from some very reputable SME-based organization. We also have something. If you got *460*600#, you'll be able to latch on to be able to enjoy very subsidized, just 200 naira subsidized access to information without you necessarily needing to kill yourself as regards your data to some of these reputable sites. Some of these reputable sites and providers, you can be able to have information as regards offers, maybe from the government, also the ones that are international, and also some contents and information that are resources that are SME based. So you can dial *460*600# and to be able to also enjoy this. I think that speaks also the learning and also the access to information that somebody mentioned earlier. Thanks.
Excuse me. Okay, someone is asking, is there any migration charges for MTN Thrive? But I want to say particularly that there's no migration charge. So it's free to move to MTN Thrive. It's free to move to MTN Thrive. Thank you very much. So if you have any network issues or complaints, the Kate has put on the chat, letstalk.ng@mtn.com, detailed address of where this challenge is, and any other information you can give us about the challenge, and our network team will be able to look at it. All right, it's been a wonderful Monday morning. Thank you for making our time. I want to say a big thank you to Kolapo and Joseph Oyeleye for facilitating this morning. And as we said earlier, this video will be on YouTube in a day or two. We'll upload it on YouTube and we will send out a message to tell you the link where you can go on YouTube. But just keep checking our MTN Nigeria YouTube page. We have a lot of our past webinars that we have done, and you're able to join us. Also join us on our MTN SME Tribe on Facebook. So you just look for MTN SME Tribe on Facebook and you'll be glad you joined. There are so many offers and so much information for you to pick up there. Okay, thank you to everyone that has made today possible. Ese Adesa, to our friends at BHM, to our friends at Enterprise Biz, Kolapo Oyeleye, our facilitator for this morning. He has a lot of accolades running in for him in the chat section. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for marshalling this at the background. And we're glad to have you all today. So till we come your way next time on another episode of our webinars, please keep safe and have a lovely week ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.